This video is sponsored by Over. In today's video, I'm going to show you something really cool. We're going to see how to apply augmented reality clothing to ourselves using Adobe After Effects and Element 3D. Augmented reality is really popular nowadays, especially with all these filters popping up, but filters, everyone does it. What if you want to take it to the next level? Challenge accepted. Alright, so without further ado, let's get started and see how this is done. So the first thing that you will need is your footage, and lucky for you, I've already prepared that, so you can download that with the link in the description below, so you can follow along with this tutorial using the exact same footage as me. Another thing that you will need is a 3D shoe. So internet is full of free 3D models or paid alternatives that you can buy, or you can model one of your own. In my case, I downloaded a free Nike shoe online and I threw it into Cinema, took off the Nike logo just to have no brand responsibilities, and then I threw on our own logo from the Creator Galaxy space station. So then I also tweaked a little bit of details, added a little bit of models, and I've also refined my layer system. I've also made sure that every model in Cinema 4D has been made editable before I export, because Element 3D is having a little bit of difficulties to really understand the Cinema 4D workflow without actually being destructive. So I will have to turn everything into an editable layer and also separate all the models that I want to apply different materials to. So then I stay with this layering system and I export this from Cinema 4D as an OBJ object. This I will be able to import in After Effects using the Element 3D plugin. Today's video sponsor, Over, is looking for creators like you. Over is taking the fashion world by storm by digitalizing a centuries-old industry. And they are looking for motivated creatives to create digital clothes of the future. This is how it works. You fill in their form, it takes less than 1 minute, upload your 3D models, and they review your application, and you're good to go. The best thing about this opportunity is Over allows creatives like us to benefit from this amazing Web 3.0 revolution. If you like creating epic 3D models, this is certainly worth checking out. Always nice to collaborate with projects like this. Now, let's get back to the video. Alright, so here we are in Adobe After Effects, and I've prepared this footage file for you guys. You can drag and drop that into a new composition. And if we play this, I'm just going to turn off the audio. We have something like this, and I'm only going to concentrate on one shoe because the workflow for both shoes is basically doing the thing over again. So what you need to do here is to object track this shoe, but also its 3D motion. And to do that, you will actually need a camera 3D tracker. But if you would apply the camera 3D tracker, it would actually look at the scene rather than this object. So we need to isolate this object first. So to do that, I found the best method was to use Mocha AE. By the way, this is console effects. It brings up effects easier. You can also go over to effects and presets and apply your effect like that. But Mocha AE comes within After Effects. And if you apply that, you can open it up by clicking on the logo right here. And then I'm going to click Start and click on my X-Spline tool and just create a simple X-Spline around my shoe. Something like this, and then right click to finalize your selection. And then we're going to track it forward by clicking on this button. It's possible that you are in the simple view. I just changed my view to the classic view right over here because it has more options and I understand Mocha pretty good. So right here, when you see it's starting to become a little bit too much, you can always adjust your track wherever you want within your video. So right here, I'm just going to adjust it a little bit. Alright, so once your mask is done, we can close Mocha and click Save. And then we can go over in the Matte tab and just apply this matte. Click on your footage, go to Layer, pre-compose this, and, well, actually pre-compose this, move all the attributes, call it footage, click OK. And now we're going to the tracker and apply the camera tracker, and we're going into the Advanced tab and just check detailed analysis. And so while it's analyzing this in the background, we're going to start on our shoe. So we're going to create a new solid and call this E3D. And we're going to turn this into a black shape. Click OK, OK, and that's going to create our solid. Then we're going to add elements to this solid. And we're going to open up the scene setup. Now we are going to import the shoe that we have created in Cinema. So I have this shoe right here, the Metaverse Shoes V2. And I'm going to open that up and click OK. So this is my shoe here, and I can see that the tip currently is for the left foot. So I'm just going to, well, it's actually for the right foot, but this is the left foot. So I need to flip it. So I'm going to click on my object and I'm just going to flip it on the X, and that should flip my shoe. And then we can go over to the presets here and start playing with some physical shaders here, or you can just create them auto your own right here. But yeah, I will just select a few and I'm just going to right click on them, add to scene, and so on. And so now it's up to you to start playing around. I'm also going to uncheck draft texture so I have a better understanding of my texture here. And I'm also going over to environment and load in some kind of outdoor shot right here. Click OK. And now we have our shoe right here. And if I would apply, for example, a chrome texture, we would see that it's very reflective. The cool thing with the chrome texture is that you can apply a really cool look to it by just going to the material and then going to the settings of the material into the illumination. And for example, giving it some sort of illumination and just increasing that intensity, but also adding a Fresnel. And so now you have some shoes that kind of create this really cool reflective look. And especially if you go wanky on the colors, you're going to get some really interesting results here that look very metaversey in my opinion. So that's a really cool and neat trick. You also have these wireframes which look really cool if your model isn't too detailed, which in this case it is. So I'm just going to apply something else, maybe the white here, the white plastic. And in the white plastic I'm also going for the illumination. So go over to the white plastic, illumination, and maybe here we want to add in some, let's say, a cyan color. Increase that, increase the Fresnel on that. There we go. And play a little bit with this. Looking cool. So once you're satisfied with the shoe, you're just going to click OK. Now we have the shoe in our scene. We're going to open up group 1. We're going to create a group null by opening the create group null and just click create. And so now we have a null here for this 3D object that allows us to control this. So now we can see in the background, if I turn off my element 3D, that it's solving the camera. So we're almost there. We can continue with placing the shoe into position. And so now I'm going to create a new composition before, and this is going to be our transition effect. If we click OK here, we're going to right click and create a new solid layer. We're going to make this white. And here I'm going to apply the fractal noise effect. And I'm going to change my fractal type to rocky, the noise type to block. Then I'm also going to uncheck here the uniform scaling, play with the scale here a little bit, and then I'm going to alt click on the evolution time times 1500. So now we get this glitchy look here. You can even increase it more or less. All up to you. You can play with the contrast here if you want more detail or less detail. You can also make it a little bit thinner or a little bit more blocky. It's all going to be up to you. You can even layer multiple fractal noises. And all you want to do here is you want to animate starting from white or actually black. Create a keyframe and then move a few frames forward and then turn it all the way to the white here. Like this. And now you will have a transition glitch effect right here. So now if we go back to our main composition, we will see that our 3D camera tracker has been done solving this, and we can choose a nice location. So this one looks pretty good. I'm going to create a solid end camera. And there we go. And we can see that now this solid is sticking pretty well to my shoe. So now what we want to do is basically bring up the position for the solid, copy the position here, go to my group null, press P on the keyboard to reveal its position properties, click on this position and paste it. So now we can uncheck this solid and we can concentrate on the group null on the element 3D. So we can bring up element 3D again and we can see that our particle is way too small. So we need to go over to the particle look tab. Here I'm going to change this to something like 40. And then I'm going over to my group null and I'm going to try and rotate this shoe in the right direction. So I'm going to place it somewhat similar to the shoe that I'm currently wearing. And this is starting to look okay. So if you want, you can make it just a little bit bigger. There we go, and now we have our shoe. So what you can do here is press F4 on the keyboard, change the blending mode, for example, to a screen if you want this different type of look, or you can leave it at normal, press T on the keyboard and just lower the opacity just a bit so it comes through a little bit, and leave it like that. Now we can go back into our footage comp and click here and just disable the Mocha effect. That will bring up our normal footage. And now if you will check, we will see that in the beginning our shoe is not tracked properly, so we need to adjust it a little bit over time, place it or bring it back into a more correct position. So now what you can do is create a new adjustment layer on top of that and bring in some contrast. So this is going to be my grade. We can add a curves, we can add a tint, disable the tint for now, and then just bring in some contrast. Nothing too crazy. Maybe the contrast just on the highlight, something like this. And then for the tint, we can play around with this, just take a little bit of color away, and then we can create another adjustment layer on top of that, and this is going to be our glow. And here I'm going to add the perfect glow effect. This is an effect that you can download from our website for free, but that's a really cool effect to add in some really cool glows here. And if you feel like some colors are a little bit too bright here, you can always play with curves here on the shoe itself and play with those colors as well a little bit more and manipulate them however you would like. Obviously, you can always jump back in and play with the intensities of the lights and so on. So now we only have one more problem, and that's our lag here. So what I've done for that is just duplicated my footage and then go to my roto brush tool and just check for a second how far it goes. Okay, so we're going to double click on our composition here and just select my lag here. And this looks all right. So now once you're satisfied with your selection, you can play through your entire video. So I'm just going to concentrate until 5 seconds or so. So you would do this for the entire thing and then click on freeze once you're finalized. I'm not going to do the entire process, just to show you the final output. So this is going to be our roto of the leg of the left foot. So we're going to now bring this on top of our element 3D. And so we can see that the element 3D is still kind of sticking out or something like this. That's totally fine. You can either rotoscope from now on. So you can go over here and you can use a pen tool and then go a little bit and mask around this right here. And then subtract this and boom, so now it looks like the leg is inside of the shoe. Or you can do something else and you can press or duplicate your element 3D footage. You can go and bring this on top of your leg and just solo this for now. And then we're going to delete the curves here. And then you go over here to output. And instead of composite, you will go Z depth. And so now in your Z depth, what I will do is just change this to be like 2000 at the end and like 1900 at the start. And I will just parent or alt click on the stopwatch for my start end. I'm just going to parent this to the start and I'm going to add plus 100 at the value. So now if I'm going to play with the start, it's going to add 100 to this. And so we're always going to cut off like a certain part of depth. So I'm going to increase this until we start seeing something like this. And this is exactly what we want. So I'm going to head over to now, I'm going to disable this layer and I'm going to set it to Luma inverted. And now if we go to element, we can play around with the depth here and we are going to see that we're starting to cut off parts. Well, actually, maybe it's Luma inverted. Let's play with that one. Okay, and there we go. So now we're starting to cut off parts. I'm not sure why element is actually showing me a little bit, or probably the opacity here should be at 100%. Okay, there we go. We lowered that in the other one. So now the opacity is 100%. And if we play with element and with the depth here, we can make it look like the leg is actually inside of the shoe or kind of. And then we can click on the stopwatch and go through the entire video. So at each different moment, you will see that you have a different cutout. Okay, so and apart from that, what I've done is also enable my shoe. So actually to reveal it, we're going to use that transition composition that we've created. We're going to bring that on top of our element and we're going to just use the Luma matte here as well. And so now if we're going to play this through at a certain point, if I solo this layer actually, you're going to see that our shoe starts to appear like this. And if we solo this and add a displacement map here, you can add the element 3D shoe just make sure that you also use the effects and masks. And if you increase this displacement, you're going to get like a more distorted look on the position of the shoe. So now if you use this as a Luma transformation, it's going to look a little bit more organic and a little bit more natural. So you can play with that and play a little bit more with the displacement here. And so now you're going to get something like this. And that brings us to this final result. Basically, for the other shoe, you will have to do the same thing over again. Use the same techniques from the tutorial. And you can also add a day to night filter, which I've done in my final example. Enjoy. Alright, so that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give this video a like. Also, let me know what you thought of it in the comments below, and subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell to stay notified when I upload new videos. Apart from that, I'm going to leave you with another video of mine right here so you can continue your VFX journey. And I'll see you in the next video. Until then, create epic videos.